trapped with my alien stepsister as her mating season began. Jake Carter never imagined his life would take such a bizarre turn when his father married an alien diplomat from the planet Cythera, but here he was stuck in an emergency shelter pod with his stepsister Lyra, as warning lights flashed across the colony station. The biodome had suffered a catastrophic breach during a meteor shower, and the automatic safety protocols had sealed them in the nearest shelter, which happened to be a cramped survival pod designed for 2 people for 48 hours. Maximum Lyra shifted uncomfortably in the confined space, her violet skin seeming to glow brighter than usual in the dim emergency lighting. Her silver eyes, which normally held a cool analytical gaze, now appeared slightly unfocused. Jake noticed something was wrong. Immediately, having lived with Lyra for 6 months since their parents married, he had learned to read her alien mannerisms better than most humans could. Her breathing had become heavier, her graceful movements more agitated, and there was a faint, sweet scent in the air that he had never noticed before. "Are you okay?" he asked, keeping his voice steady despite the growing concern in his chest. Lyra turned to him, and for the first time since he had known her, she looked genuinely vulnerable. "I need to tell you something," she said, her melodic voice carrying an edge of panic that sent alarm bells ringing in his mind. "The timing is unfortunate, but my biology does not care about convenience." Jake waited, his heart rate picking up as he sensed the gravity of whatever she was about to reveal. "My species experiences something similar to what you humans might call a heat cycle." She continued, her cheeks darkening to a deeper purple shade. "It happens once every 3 solar cycles, and it began approximately 2 hours ago." The human male felt his face flush as the implications sank in. The shelter pod suddenly felt even smaller than before. "How long does it last?" he managed to ask. 72 hours, Lyra replied, her hands clenching and unclenching at her sides. "During this time, my body releases powerful pheromones, and my instincts become difficult to control." "I apologize, Jake. This is highly inappropriate, but you need to understand what we are dealing with." Jake ran his fingers through his dark hair, trying to process the situation. They were stuck together for at least 2 days, possibly longer if rescue teams faced complications, and his alien stepsister was going through something that clearly caused her considerable distress. "What do you need?" he asked, deciding that practical solutions were better than panicking. "How can I help you get through this safely?" Lyra looked at him with surprise, as if she had expected him to react with disgust or fear instead. "You are not frightened of me. Why would I be frightened?" Jake responded with genuine confusion. "You are my sister, even if we are not related by blood. You have been nothing but kind to me since our parents got married. This is just biology, right? We will figure it out together." Something shifted in Lyra's expression, a warmth entering her silver eyes that he had rarely seen before. "Humans are remarkable," she murmured, more to herself than to him. "People were correct to seek alliance with your species." She took a deep breath, seeming to center herself. "I need to maintain distance from you as much as possible in this confined space. My instincts will push me to seek physical contact, but that would be inappropriate given our relationship. The pheromones I am releasing may affect you as well, though humans typically have a reduced sensitivity to them." Jake nodded, understanding the boundaries she was trying to establish. He moved to the far corner of the pod, which gave them perhaps 3 feet of separation. It was not much, but it was something. "I will stay over here," he assured her. "Just tell me if there is anything else I can do." The first few hours were manageable. Lyra meditated using breathing techniques from her homeworld, while Jake busied himself checking their supplies and monitoring the emergency channels for updates on the rescue operation. But as time passed, the situation grew more challenging. Lyra's pheromones filled the small space, and despite his best efforts, Jake began to feel their effects. His skin felt warm, his senses seemed heightened, and he found his gaze drawn to her repeatedly. He forced himself to focus on anything else, cataloging their food rations, checking the air recyclers, running diagnostics on the communication system. Lyra was struggling more visibly where elegant control was slipping, and she pressed herself against the far wall as if trying to physically restrain herself. "Jake, I apologize." She gasped out, her voice strained. This is harder than I anticipated, being in such close proximity to another being during this time. Tell me about Zithera. Jake suggested, hoping that conversation might provide a distraction. You have never really talked about your homeworld. Lyra latched onto the topic like a lifeline. Her voice still shaky, she began to describe the crystalline cities of her planet, the floating gardens that harvested sunlight, the vast libraries where her people stored knowledge. From 1,000 worlds. Jake listened, genuinely fascinated, and asked questions that kept her talking. He learned about her childhood, about the strict training required for diplomatic service, about her love of human literature, which she found refreshingly chaotic compared to the ordered prose of her own culture. Hours passed this way, with them sharing stories. Jake talked about growing up on the frontier colonies, about his mother's death when he was young, about his initial resentment when his father announced he was marrying an alien. Thought you would be cold, he admitted. I thought all the stereotypes about emotionless aliens would be true, but you proved me wrong. Pretty quickly, Lyra managed to smile despite her obvious discomfort, and I thought, humans would be crude and simple-minded, she confessed. You proved me equally wrong. Jake Carter, your species has a capacity for empathy that surprises me constantly. As the second day in the pod began, Lyra's condition worsened. She was trembling now, her skin flushed a deep violet and her breathing ragged. The pheromones in the air were so strong that even Jake, with his limited sensitivity, felt like his head was swimming. I cannot hold back much longer, she warned him, her voice barely above a whisper. Jake, you need to understand that if I lose control, I might hurt you. My species is considerably stronger than humans, and my instincts right now are primal. I need you to promise me something if I come toward you. Use the emergency sedative in the medical kit. Jake looked at the medical kit mounted on the wall, then back at Lyra. He saw the fear in her eyes, not fear of him, but fear of herself. He made a decision that surprised even him. Trust you, he said simply. You are one of the most disciplined people. I know, Lyra, alien or human, you have not lost control yet, and I do not believe you will. But if it helps you feel safer, I will keep the sedative ready. Lyra's eyes widened, and to his shock he saw tears forming in them. Crying was rare among her people, preserved for only the most intense emotions. You should not trust me so much, she whispered. But thank you. The final hours were the hardest. Lyra had stopped talking entirely, focused completely on maintaining her control. Jake stayed in his corner, keeping up a steady stream of one-sided conversation about anything and everything, hoping his voice might serve as an anchor for her. He told her about his plans for the future, his dream of becoming a xenobiologist, studying the incredible diversity of life spreading across the galaxy. He told her embarrassing stories from his teenage years about failed romances and terrible decisions. He even sang badly remembered songs from his childhood, making her crack a small smile. Despite everything, when the rescue team finally breached the pod door 47 hours after they had been sealed in, they found Jake still talking, and Lyra still maintaining her position against the far wall. Both were exhausted, but neither had given in to panic. The medical team immediately took Lyra to a private medical bay where they could help her through the remainder of her cycle with proper medication and isolation. Before they took her away, she caught Jake's hand with her own, her grip surprisingly gentle for someone who had been fighting such powerful instincts. Thank you, she said, her voice hoarse but sincere. For trusting me. Jake squeezed her hand back. That is what family does, he replied. They trust each other. Later, after he had been checked by the medical team and cleared for release, Jake's father found him in the observation deck looking out at the stars. I heard what happened, his father said, sitting down beside him. The shelter pod logs showed everything. I am proud of you. Son, Jake shrugged, feeling suddenly embarrassed. I just did what anyone would do. No, his father said firmly. You did what few would do. You treated Lyra with dignity and respect when she was at her most vulnerable. That is not common even among her own people, from what I understand. Mating cycles are considered shameful. Something to hide. Jake thought about that, about how isolated Lyra must have felt, carrying that biological burden in a society that viewed it as weakness. She is remarkable, he said finally, strong in ways I did not understand, before his father smiled. She said the same about you. Apparently you talked for hours about xenobiology, and she has contacts at the Interstellar Research Institute. She is already making calls about getting you an internship. There. Jake felt warmth spread through his chest, not from alien pheromones this time, but from genuine affection. When Lyra was released from medical, 3 days later she found Jake waiting outside. They stood there for a moment, neither quite sure what to say after everything that had happened. "I owe you an enormous debt," Lyra began. But Jake cut her off. "No debts between family," he said. "But maybe you could tell me more about those crystalline cities on Zethari. Would love to visit someday."